I have access to castles, big houses all over the world, and I curate groups of people who would normally never meet. I pick the topics very carefully, and the managers of the houses are mostly refugees. I felt like everybody who I know from Germany, from my family, was telling me to shut up about my work and just be quiet, look nice, and just...
Why?
And so, because I was supposed to be an heiress.
Oh, and you're drawing in too much attention.
Yeah, I was the refugee girl, and it's not chic. And
it's not chic, yes. But
that's not following the family blueprints.
So you're kind of the Paris Hilton of pharma in Europe. In a good way.
I come from a very old family. It's the second largest pharmaceutical empire after Bayer Pharma. And women were just not supposed to work. They were not supposed to have access to their data. And I just always wanted to live my own culture. And that made me so obsessed with ID systems. Then Syria blew up, and then suddenly we had like 4 million people who were trying to actually swim over also, or they were taking boats.
To Samos.
To Samos,
wow.
Yeah. I was working in the refugee camp that was an old prison because people were just not supposed to be staying. They were afraid that people would just start building huts on Samos. So they blew up the refugee camp on the sides.
What do you mean blew up? Like
They
expanded?
created like Molotov cocktails in the containers, and they were blowing up.
Not a metaphor, like actual blowing up. Who did this?
In terms of negotiations, for me, I was always the blonde girl among people who had nothing, who had lost everything. It was
and did not look like you, usually.
Yeah, I was speaking for them. I was more the messenger. I was on nobody's side. I was just trying to
mediate and
create harmony between the two sides.
I think at one point she put herself inside a suitcase and she was transported as if she was baggage.
When I was doing my master's at Harvard Kennedy School, I worked on a startup with a few classmates where essentially we were trying to enable refugees to earn income through digital microwork.
With my first kid, I went to Burning Man 8 months pregnant. And with my third kid, I was in Greece all alone on an island. I had no medicine during birth.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had totally twisted everything around. And
Everybody, Paula does not own a gun, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Gentle Power.
I'm so excited to host today my dear friend Paula. Do I say her last name like Schwarz?
Schwarz.
Schwarz. Oh, not German style.
No.
Okay.
Schwarz. Like, sounds like Bond,
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm like,
Schwarz.
I can use my
Paula
a
Schwarz.
few years of German to... I had a manager who had a German last name too. I was so excited to show off my German, and then she's like, no, it's this American-styled pronunciation. I'm like, okay.
Well, the thing is, if you try and do it German, it's like Schwarz.
Schwarz.
So it's, I don't know.
It's too hard.
Just,
rough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm half Greek, and my mom's name is Eleftheria Andromachik Xanthopoulou.
Oh.
So it's like very different from the Schwarz.
Yeah,
so
so much softer. Yeah. Eleftheria. Yes.
And the Schwarz part is like the Americanized, like international version.
Yeah.
Yeah, need to dumb down foreign names for American tongues. Yeah.
So where did you grow up? I'll turn it over to you for your bio. Take us on the journey. You have such a beautiful way of seeing life, and you have such a cool life. I'm so excited for people to be taken on this journey.
I do have a cool life.
Yeah. Can I say what you said, who you're meeting with soon? You're meeting with Macron, the current president of France. Is he? Yeah.
Trump's best friend right now.
Trump's BFF. He's the one that his wife kind of like smacked him.
Yeah.
Maybe we can try to put that in the... Cut it.
Yeah.
You participated in Miss Germany.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of side quests, and I would love, as you share your bio with us and the audience, if you can weave in all the times where power and or negotiations just like pop in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, hi everybody. My name is Paula Schwarz, and I started my work in refugee camps. I was obsessed with ID systems, like trying to understand what do people need in order to live a normal life, like healthcare or mobility. What do you need to start an Uber account and things like that. And at some point I was like, why the fuck am I actually obsessed with this? Like, I'm a blonde girl sitting in a fucking refugee camp. And,
So you realize, you asked yourself after you're already sitting there.
I was like completely
before.
manic about my work. And I mean, I come from a very old family, and it's the second largest pharmaceutical empire after Bayer Pharma. I don't know. And so
I used to work at a pharmaceutical company, Sanofi, the French one.
Right.
Yeah.
They're cool.
Yeah.
They're very cool. Yeah.
What's your family's pharmaceutical company
It's called Schwarz Pharma.
Schwarz
Pharma.
Schwarz Pharma.
And women were just not supposed to work, and they were not supposed to have access to their data. And I just always wanted to just live my own culture. And that made me so obsessed with ID systems. And I felt like I couldn't be...
What do you mean by ID system?
Like, yeah, I was interviewing people about their ways to start accounts, like start bank accounts, start user accounts. And then I started creating platforms for refugees where they could have access to information about, you know, which refugee camp still has space, for example, or which border was open, which border was closed. And then that got me 15 million users in very few months. And then I started getting people together who wanted to visit the refugee camps.
Yeah.
And I started...
like volunteer.
Well, to build technology together mostly.
Yeah.
So I was always very careful to have a designer and a systems engineer and a strategist, an investor, and I would curate these groups of people very well.
So cool.
And so then I had the head of KPMG who came, or very good friends of Facebook as well, not heads of anything at the time.
Were they dropping into your office or somehow getting
most
involved?
Of it was happening on boats. So
Boats?
On boats.
Okay.
Yeah, because we had, you know, the island that I was based on was right at the border between Europe and Asia. It was the closest meeting point between Greece and Turkey.
Okay, what is that called?
It's called Samos, and it hosts a refugee camp where roughly 9,000 people were in there.
And where are they mostly from?
They are, it depends. I mean, in the 90s, it was from Afghanistan. And, you know, back then, since my mom is Greek, as I mentioned, and she's from that region, for me, that was like the last place where I felt like I had a normal life apart from being stalked because I have this last name and this background of the family. I spent a lot of time there already in the 90s interviewing people about where they come from. And so it was a very long journey.
Yeah.
And then Syria blew up, you know, and then suddenly we had like 4 million people who were trying to actually swim over also, you know, or they were taking boats.
To Samos.
To Samos,
wow.
yeah.
I'm just going to say this hits very close to home for me because as you know, I'm from Albania and so Kosovo used to be part of Albania, and in 1997 we had a civil war in Albania. In 1998, Kosovo had its own war with Serbia, and we had so many refugees coming into Albania from Kosovo. We speak the same language. They call themselves Albanian, and like we hosted refugees in our own homes. Many Albanians hosted refugees from Kosovo during the war in our own homes, just being very cramped. We were already a developing country with very few resources, not much electricity, not much clean or running water. I remember doing my homework in candlelight because we didn't have electricity for years and years.
And the Kosovo conflict was also very aggressive, right?
Yeah, very aggressive, very like a full-blown war. And so this is very, like I've been to refugee camps in Albania. Yeah, so this is very vivid for me. It's not just conceptual, like, oh, somewhere in Samos. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I was working in the refugee camp that was an old prison because people were just not supposed to be staying. They were afraid that, you know, people would just start building huts on Samos. And that's actually also what happened. And so they blew up the refugee camp on the sides. And
what do you mean blew up? Like
they
expanded?
created like Molotov cocktails in the containers, and they were blowing up containers.
Not a metaphor, like actual blowing up. Who did this?
Groups of people who, you know, they would get
didn't
smashed
support
No, it was like, I mean, the UN was already kind of failing in these regions, and the UN was actually running this camp.
Wow.
And so it was quite easy to hack the internet, to, you know, go in and out of the camp. And so then the European Union built a new camp in the middle of nowhere, which was like a high security prison. If you Google Samos refugee camp, you'll see it. It looks like a city, but like a prison city, basically.
Did you visit?
I go there all the time. And the funny thing is that they don't have running water. They don't have electricity. They don't have anything that you would think that they have because it's just so corrupt. So it's kind of like turning into what the old camp used to be. But it was this attempt to sort of over secure everything, which totally didn't work.
Like both protect them and protect the rest of the, I guess, Greece. Interesting.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, in terms of negotiations, for me, I was always the blonde girl.
Yeah.
Among people who had nothing, who had lost everything. It was clear
And did
that
not look like you usually.
Yeah, I was speaking for them, so I never had this problem that anybody would want to like rape me or something, because of course, you know, if
You were on their side.
I was more the messenger. I was on nobody's side. I was just trying to
like translate,
mediate and
create like harmony, I guess, between the two sides through technology as well. And so, for example, what I'm doing now is I'm reviving a service that we built at the time, which was an Uber for refugees. It's called MaharCar, because Marha is called woohoo in Arabic.
Oh.
And so what was happening was that people were, you know, swimming from Turkey to Greece, and then they would just end up on the shore somewhere with their luggage. And then, you know, on MaharCar, there would be people who had registered their car for free. And they would go and pick them up, and they would bring them to the police station or to the refugee camp.
Right.
And so we did like 200 rides a day at the time. And then it became illegal to transport people who don't have ID.
IDs.
You know?
Okay, that's how you got into the ID world.
It's one example.
Okay.
And so we partnered with Uber back at the time, and people were like printing out their MaharCar things and putting them on their cars. It was really cool, you know. But then we had to shut it down, and now because of the legal issues.
Wait, sorry. Was this a nonprofit?
It was a nonprofit.
Project?
It was actually registered in the U.S.
Very cool.
And we had a team that was running it, and yeah, I mean, it was a very interesting time. And now with Lebanon and you know so many regions blowing up, even Dubai, like you never know who might be in a situation where they just need a ride to get to safety, you know. And so we feel, or I feel especially, that it's time to like reintroduce that.
Yeah. And are the drivers volunteering or being paid? Okay.
They're donating, they're volunteering, they're driving. Nice. So it's not something that you would do full time.
Right.
It would just be like a MaharCar driver out of passion.
Out of passion.
Yeah.
But then Uber is involved in that they're supporting their drivers to do this in a way.
Uber was involved with funding a little bit.
Okay,
and Uber was involved with media, you know, to say that this is something that they find great. And that it was not seen as a competition, of course. It was just a different model. And for us, we were looking for a way to carry the server costs and to, you know, like pay the team a little bit of money. So it was more of a philanthropic sort of thing. Yeah.
This is so beautiful. And again, and I know you were involved with something like this actually, but this touches on my heart too, because when we had the civil war, so when Albania used to be a communist country, it turned in, I think, around 1989. And then there was just so much turmoil. We were so poor as a country. And then there was the Ponzi schemes that collapsed. And then we had the civil war because of that. And it was just...
And the banks closed.
Yeah, the banks closed. It was just a mess. And people were leaving the country, like climbing on ships and boats. And there was a huge tragedy in the 90s. But I know they were leaving in these little, almost like children's little boats to go to Italy and sometimes Greece over the border illegally and all of that, just to have just to eat. There wasn't enough, you know. And there was a tragedy where a big ship drowned as they were going to Italy. And then I mean, I have relatives who have tried to do this and landed in different shores, and they didn't know anyone there, and they would just kind of figure it out in the middle of the night, land in some shore in the middle of nowhere, Italy or Greece, and just figure it out. So this is very close to my heart. I literally have my mom's first cousin who had to go through this. I think at one point she put herself inside a suitcase, and she was transported as if she was baggage. I should probably have a family member talk about this, but this is relevant to Alex as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't realize the depth of your experience with refugees, and I wish we had crossed paths back in 2017. So when I was doing my master's at Harvard Kennedy School, I worked on a startup with a few classmates where it was essentially we were trying to enable refugees to earn income through digital micro work. So very simple, but repetitive IT tasks. So let's say for AI companies, this was at the time, like almost 10 years ago, but when you have contractors go and tag images, almost like the CAPTCHA, like online to help train AI models. And so we did a pilot project in Greece, on an island in Greece with a lot of refugees. I wonder if it's the same one.
Do you remember the name?
Remember these kinds of things.
Yeah. It was called Dignify, but then AI at the end.
Oh, you were early AI.
Well, we actually we changed the name. It used to be Y, but then we changed it to AI once we saw.
But like
but it was actually clever. I don't know why we didn't think of that from the start. But we did a pilot project on an island in Greece that had a lot of refugees.
What
It
was
may
it
have been the
called?
same one. I don't remember.
Lesbos.
It was that. Yes, it was Lesbos. Yes, we did one in Jordan. Also in Colombia, but we focused mainly in Colombia, and we ended up having like a mini training educational center where we would train Venezuelan refugees who were leaving Venezuela, transiting through Colombia. But I remember the ID issue was a really big thing because for them to also even create accounts and using all the technology we were training them on, they didn't have IDs or any way for a lot of them didn't. So that would have been
To be fair, the European passport is very hackable.
Yeah.
But you cannot imagine the amount of people that I know who called me from the other side of the border after a plane ride and said like, it worked.
Oh my
Wow.
God. Wow.
Yeah, I was not involved, and don't call me if you need a passport.
Yeah.
Like an illegal passport. But yeah, so that's
Interesting.
very difficult because I mean we're talking 26 member states, and
Do you think it's by design or just to
I think
have
it's just the system is just very
Yeah.
insecure,
Yes,
very
yes,
unsafe
yes.
with your data. And okay, GDPR and all of that is like the answer, trying to make it
yeah.
overly secure, and it's a bit of marketing as well to not look into the gaps, but it's a bit like Swiss cheese, I would say.
Yeah.
And so for me, all of the information and data work resulted in something called MayaCode, which is something I'm doing together with the scholar of the Chancellor of Germany, so the guy who was basically assisting him in his AI stuff. And MayaCode it's a woman. If you go on MayaCode.io, it's a woman
MayaCode.io.
with purple hair that says like, "Hey, I'm here to help you fill out your forms."
Nice.
And
Wait, how do you
so-
spell Maya? M-A-Y-A?
M-A-Y-A. Yeah.
Okay, MayaCode.io.
MayaCode.io.
It's
We'll
still-
share
it's
all
still
these.
live?
Yes, yes. Oh my God. Yes, it's so live.
Yeah.
And basically, she remembers your data. And if you would go on the website of the German government now to try and get a job or get an ID or get some kind of help, then she can fill everything out based on what she knows already. And then she would say, hey, I just need this and this and this from you in 300 languages.
Wow.
And then directly she fills out these forms and the government gets them. So it's basically helping government workers get to information faster. And it also helps people who don't know how to write or how to read. Just talk to a person and say like, hey, I want to fill this out. I'm looking for a job in this and that.
Oh, it's like a
so she
voice
can guide you. It's a bit like ChatGPT as a woman that helps you fill out stuff so that you have the forms already filled out. It's like an agent specialized in filling out forms,
Nice.
governmental forms.
Oh, that gives me a bit of PTSD because I had to go through so many hoops to become a U.S. citizen that I remember this. There were some forms that were like this form you fill out in blue ink, this fill out in black ink. I'm like, why?
And I remember, and also some
help me
papers had to be printed on blue paper, on like cardstock. And they said, if you don't follow these instructions, then you have to reapply and start the entire process over from the
And you have to-
beginning. That
and
was like
you
a
have to pay
several.
hundreds
But
of
have you
dollars.
tried using AI for this? I did
Well,
this
this-
This was
Yeah.
a long time ago for us, maybe 10 years ago. But I was, just so young, and I'm also Albanian. I don't like these random rules. I barely follow normal rules. I was like, Alex, I just fill it out in, blue pen. Like, I don't, like, why is this important? He's like, no, you don't. They might make us do it all over again, pay again. Maybe you don't get your citizenship. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got it.
Yes, thank you.
So what are you working on today? Are you still involved with the refugee stuff with MayaCode?
So I have a bit of, I don't know, like rough road behind me, I would say, because I wrote a book about why I wasn't able to access my data and, coming clean with your family when you come out of like such a empire, basically. And then I was the first woman who actually wanted to work and had to sort of like fight for her rights. And just I wrote a book about the evolution of my vision for the future, I guess. And because of all of the backstory, I also really wanted to have my own family. Yeah. So I somehow had 3 kids in 4 years, popped them out.
Wait, are you even twins?
They look like twins.
Okay.
They always wear the same thing, but they're 3 and 4.
Okay.
So one is very tall, one is very short. So they end up to be in the same.
I've met 2 of them, but not the third one yet.
The last one is a boy. And it's great. I mean, I love having my own family. It definitely gave me a lot of peace with what I had been through. And I love hosting events. Like tonight, for example, we're doing an event on AI and education. But so that took a lot of my time, like becoming clean about the past and things like that. And then I was just, to be honest, pulled back into refugee work quite a bit, because that's just where my heart is. Yeah. Like I love gluing together worlds that I find so far apart, where I'm like, why the fuck is this happening? And if I know that, I come from a place that people cannot access, I feel like it's my responsibility to actually open the door that nobody would open, and to be as safe as possible, with financial resources, with, cultural identities, with expectations of other people who would normally not open their doors. And so for me, that resulted very much in real estate. So I have access to castles, big houses all over the world that people gave me access to. And I curate groups of people who would normally never meet. And I pick the topics very carefully. And the managers of the houses are mostly refugees.
Oh, wow.
So we train them to, know who's coming when. Many times there's a kindergarten or a very big child care area in the house. Yeah. And we try to keep it very intergenerational. We try to keep it very focused on building together as well, but on learning for the future, essentially. And
it's like an ideas collision place so that ideas and maybe collaboration come together.
Exactly. Yeah. And, it was very much inspired by San Francisco, actually, because I loved how people who could afford it were sharing a space here. Yes. And they just wanted to be together, and they just wanted to be good humans, and they wanted to inspire each other. And I was like, damn, in Greece, we have like a super strong family culture. But why the fuck is this not happening? And it really pissed me off, especially as a mom in the age of AI, where I felt like, oh my God, I have so much to learn from other people. And, if I would share like the babysitters, cooking duties, or like all kinds of shit with other people, my life would be so much easier. And the thing is, it became much easier.
Yeah. So you were living there yourself?
I had a giant house in Athens. Because the father of my kids is from San Francisco.
Yeah.
And he's like, if we move away somewhere, I need to have a giant house. I was like, okay, I worked in refugee camps all my life, but I'm trying to be a mom here. So maybe we'll try that. And I think after 5 hours in that house, I was like, fuck no, it's just not me. And then I was like, okay, I want to make the house sort of make money. I want to bring great people into here. I want to write a business plan for it. Yeah. And then we had like 33 guests in the first month.
Wow.
And Bill Tai is amazing. He was one of our first sponsors in the house as well.
Very cool.
He was the first investor in Canva.
Wow.
And so then I just started hosting a lot of friends. And then we had like hundreds of people at our birthday parties. Wow. And then more people came and said, hey, can I register my house somewhere? Can you do this too? And then we started a platform that's a little bit like the Airbnb for high net worth individuals. But, everybody can sign up there. And my job is just to make sure that we curate people really well together,
I love that.
Is this before we started recording, you mentioned you turn your home into a co-living space.
Yeah.
Is this the one in Athens?
Is this called the
Angel House?
Okay. In Athens.
It started in Athens. Okay. Now we have Norway, Canada. In Athens alone, we have 4 houses now.
Yeah.
And it's very cool. Yeah. But of course, sometimes we have people who are trying to stalk me or stalk other people who are in a good place also financially. And then I have to be very careful with the data.
Yes.
So I always try to make sure, for example, that I don't have a single person living next to a married person who's there alone, because that might cause issues. I do have to be careful from the beginning about what kind of expectations people have. Like, why do they go there?
Yes, you're curating the
I'm
community
curating very carefully.
And is this like more of a drop-in for a few weeks or months thing, or are people living there?
It's a drop-in thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the long-term thing, it's kind of long-term because people, thank God, they keep coming back.
Yeah.
But, you know, we are all nomads. Like, I'm here until the day after tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we also have an angel house here now.
In SF?
Yeah. And so it has 10 bedrooms.
I'll ask for the address after this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is that where you're staying now or no?
Yeah.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm furnishing it right now.
Ooh.
And it's fun. It's fun. So the world is my oyster.
Yeah.
Wow. It really is.
It really
yeah.
is. We haven't even gotten to Miss Germany or Macron. Like how...
Well, the Miss Germany thing was, you know, I mean, as I said, I had spent most of my life in refugee camps. Like, I was working there for 7 years. And then I just felt like everybody who I know from Germany, from my family, was telling me to, like, shut the fuck up about my work and just be quiet, look nice, and just... And
why?
so, because I was supposed to be an heiress. Basically.
Oh, and you're drawing in too much attention.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was like the refugee girl, and it's not
Yes.
chic, and
It's not chic, yes. But
and
that's,
Not following the family blueprint.
so you're kind of like the Paris Hilton of pharma in Europe. In a good way. She's actually badass is what I hear. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she did a reality show on a farm. I mean, I would love to do a
Oh,
reality show out of refugee camps. I think that's more than needed.
Actually, yeah.
Like, if you guys
Let's
can
go.
pull that off.
Yes.
I mean,
All right, we'll make some calls.
Yeah, we'll make some call. We actually did. It's funny you say that because we actually were part of a reality TV show for negotiations. So we were teaching a course on negotiations, but it looked like a reality TV show. It was so fun.
your content, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
thank
always
you.
do, newsletters and everything.
Thank you,
Oh,
really?
nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
we get that a lot in person. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you read that. But people are like, I can't comment on your LinkedIn post because my manager is going to see it and things like that.
Really? That's fine.
Yeah.
Because if they're looking at things about negotiating new jobs,
Yeah,
then if their
yeah.
manager sees, they're like, you know, it might not.
I mean, I find it very brave what you guys are doing. you
Really?
know, like,
Okay.
Thank
because
you.
you open up so many topics, and it's like I feel like you're showing your own cards sometimes.
Yes.
And I'm always amazed when I talk to you guys in private also
Yeah.
how chilled you are about it.
Are we oversharing? What are you implying?
No, I mean, one could think that it's very personal, and especially you guys, you know, you're married, you're doing this together. It's like you're private and public, and
Yeah.
it's very cool.
Thank
find
you.
it
I
very cool.
appreciate
Thank you.
that.
You know, it took a long time, about a year into our business, for us to get comfortable sharing more about just interweaving our personal and the company piece, because we really had this mental block, and
Well, a year is not a lot, huh?
It felt
like a long
like,
time.
so I hadn't told anyone more publicly. It was a year into the business where I made my first LinkedIn post. Hey, this is what I'm doing. Which is, now looking back, I'm posting almost every day now. But back then it was so scary because especially in SF, we're surrounded by, you know, venture capitalists, founders raising tens of millions of dollars. And it just felt like, oh, we're doing this,
like a small bootstrap
bootstrap
business in the coaching.
Here, it's really looked at. If you're not raising, I don't know, $50 million seed round, like, yeah.
But one thing that we realized after being in San Francisco for a while, and you've probably encountered this too, is that there's this narrative that's sold that the only way to succeed is to raise millions of dollars in a giant seed round for a VC-backed tech-enabled product, and then selling that or IPOing. But more and more, we are seeing a lot. We're running across a lot of solopreneurs or people who are building on their own, going the bootstrap way, and also just getting over the cringe factor. And I feel like you have a quite public profile, and so you probably feel or have felt the experience of like, should I share about this or that? And for us, it was very new, and it took us a year to get comfortable actually sharing about our personal lives or how our personal
like this business,
Yeah.
But having worked in venture capital, I found out that all this narrative about what's cool and applauded in SF, it's because it benefits the system. For example, for us to be venture backable founders, because VCs will want us to be venture backable founders so that they can invest in us. So it's encouraged because that's what the system wants. We're like, no, we're going to escape that, and we're just going to do what fits our lifestyle.
But what
better.
I feel like is very unique about SF as well is that people are looking for help. Like they're looking to grow to the next level.
Yeah.
And for example, if you look at Miami and the art scene, then everybody's like super fond of themselves, and you know, it's about having the best eye with art. And here it's actually about how can you be the best founder.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm doing an event tonight as well about AI and education. And I feel like people are genuinely interested to grow.
Yeah.
And they do criticize like themselves, their I don't know, their next steps in life, because they just want to grow from there. And so, you know, I wonder if in Greece, no offense, I mean, I love Greece, I live there, but I don't think that people would book you guys because they're just not open enough. And for me, it's also, I mean, now people come to the Angel House who are Greek, but it was our responsibility for a long time to bring in people from the outside.
Yeah.
You know? And so, I mean, with the Angel House, because the war in Israel was happening or is still happening, and the war with Iran, so the whole region was very destabilized, and Greece was like the only sort of place where you could go and feel a little bit safe. And at the time we had opened our 4th house, so it was really cool to welcome so many different people. But now we are actually having an impact more on the local ecosystem. And still negotiations, you know, I feel like if you would offer it in Greece, people wouldn't necessarily do it.
Are you implying that like Europe is more sort of complacent? They wouldn't necessarily look to improve a deal through negotiation?
I think negotiation as a term is very much focused on like protecting your own interests, and in Europe it's a lot about the collective, about, you know, respecting your role as a woman, as a mother, as a friend, as a good citizen, and like fitting in almost, and trying to make everybody happy,
Like keep peace and
so that your surrounding works. And negotiating is obviously like helping you or your interest.
That's so funny because we have tried so hard to rebrand it, and I think that's part of our mission, to rebrand and the way people see negotiations as more as the way we see it is, as they say in the negotiation books, like expand the pie rather than see how to slice it. Like, oh, if I get more than half, you get less than half. But we actually want to see how do we expand it so that we both get more. And I think that's part of one of my main goals in life, like how to help people think creatively as they're problem solving or doing deals. How can we both win? And even with things that seem like they are zero sum, like in job offers, people think like, well, I make more money than the company is giving away more money, so they have less. But it's not that simple. Like maybe they want you to start sooner. Maybe they want you to move, or you don't want to move. And so they're happy to give you more or less money based on that. So there's so many variables and so many ways to make each other better off without making anyone worse off. And that's the work we're really doing.
I love that. I think that's great.
Very creative.
So I negotiated my way back into Germany.
Okay, let's hear that. Yeah.
Because with the Miss Germany situation, I was like, okay, I might want to try and like improve my relationship with the country now that, you know, I'm a mom and I have my shit figured out and all that. And so I applied and I got into the finals.
Yes.
And
what year?
It was this year.
This year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so who was the negotiation against? Or you mean more like the perception?
With myself and with like the whole topic that I was dealing with. You know, it was like, okay, should I try and go into an ecosystem that I have a problematic relationship with? Because I feel like a lot of people would just move to Australia.
You could blend in, blonde girl.
Or, you know, just like put the lid on it and just keep it closed. And I was like, no, I just don't really want to do that. I want to try and meet new people and go into that ecosystem in a new way.
How did you think of Miss Universe? Like, why was that the door?
I don't know. I just saw the application somewhere, and I said to the father of my kids that I need like 5 minutes or 10 minutes in a cafe. So I sat down in a cafe, and in all honesty, I had a tequila shot because I was nervous. Actually, I just had it in front of me in case I'm too nervous.
Is it a video application, or are you just submitting?
Like something about your dream or like what have you achieved and things like that, like why do you deserve to be in the contest, you know? And I wrote that I had just written this book and that I'm supporting more and more people in Germany also by bringing them together with other people who are not normally on their map, basically, you know. And so I mean the next step for what I'm doing now is to think about how I can support people further. So I'm thinking about actually raising some kind of fund so that when people are in the angel houses also in Germany, and if they're building together, then we can immediately go in and like support them financially, you know.
And is that where angel comes from, like angel investment?
No, I just like this idea of people trying to be of value no matter what they do. Like I don't like people who expect the cleaner to come in and to take care of their shit. I feel like even if you have a cleaner, try and be as respectful as possible with your stuff because you use it every day, you know? And I feel like in capitalism, you outsource work that actually contributes also to a respectful behavior with each other in the household, you know? So angel is much more about the sort of promise that you want to give to yourself to be as good as possible on every day. You try not to lie, even if you negotiate, you know?
Of course.
We
We recommend people don't lie.
Yeah.
That's what we coach our clients. The angel, it's almost like tapping into the angel inside of you versus the devil. Okay, the one on your shoulder.
The benchmark.
The benchmark.
Yeah.
And so you're at so what happened with Miss Universe?
It's Miss Germany.
Miss Germany. So I think you're so beautiful. I think you should be Miss Universe. I keep thinking of Miss Universe.
No, it was for women who are shaping Germany and who are, you know, taking a step into like a new profile for women in Germany. And I got to the last 90 in total. But yeah, I had a bad day on the last pitch that I was supposed to make there because I flew in for the event. And
because you live in Greece.
Because I live in Greece, exactly. And then right before the pitch, I had put in like a 5-hour session with my lawyers because I was like, okay, I'm here for one day, so I might as well do it all in one day.
Oh, no.
And then there was some shit that came up with my lawyers, which they helped me with very much. I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
But I was kind of down after, you know, and I didn't have a shot or anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
I know tons of people who got like super smashed before.
Oh, my God.
Before the whatever
like
the
an
round
interview
or
or something?
Yeah,
because
wow.
it was all about like looking cool and friendly and like bringing across the fire, you know. And that's very much something that I like still think about as an entrepreneur. Like, how much do I want to communicate my vision to the outside as a person? Because I feel like now with AI, you know, you're able to build so many things by yourself. And then to, you know, create videos for it, like you guys are doing, or like content. But in a way, you know, when you also handle so much technology or the infrastructure that I have, that, I mean, I'm staffing now with other people like refugees, but still I'm not the person who loves being so outward facing anymore because I'd rather work through, you know, the houses, the angel houses, the numbers and things like that. So yeah, I guess Miss Germany has also taught me that I'm not necessarily willing to like just get drunk and represent something that is maybe not right for me at the time.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You have a different persona now, profile.
How do you feel about that? Because I'm sure you have clients who try and like sell something and stay stable, even though, I don't know.
Yeah, I think I think what comes to mind when you're saying all this is we've had to make some tough calls with whether do we stick to our, not brand, but like our values, our persona, or do we venture into things we're a little uncomfortable with? Like we could be doing TikTok dances. We could be doing like, I don't know.
I'm sure you could.
We have considered it.
I did not consider it. We could be doing all types of like memes on Instagram and all that. But honestly, for me, and I'm very glad I stayed true to my values. We stayed true to our values. And I was like, you know what? I can't do all that and I don't want to do it. I what if we start a podcast and we'll chop that up and that will be the content that we're posting regularly, as opposed to now we start dancing and doing all the memes, which obviously I respect and support. We have a lot of creator friends. It's just not who we are. We were not good at it. And so that's how this podcast was born, just to become the main source of content. And it's very on brand with us. And we're so happy we're doing it. We just had our 1-year anniversary and of the podcast. Now 14 years together, 10 years married. And so, I think it's important. I do think your dreams live outside your comfort zone, but it's also important to stay true to your values. You don't have to become someone you're not. It's good to stretch yourself and grow, but you don't have to become someone you're not to achieve your dreams.
I guess the question is also around quality and quantity, right? Because like many founders, they need to grow so and so much. And so I feel like the more you need to grow, the more desperate you can get.
Yes,
and
exactly.
you can do content, you can do like outreach, cold outreach, you can write letters. But, if you're in that plus building a product, it might eat your heart up.
Exactly.
And I mean, we talked about Alex Hormozy in the past. He's like the super fucking sales machine. He loves doing that. And he has this rule of like calling 100 people every day in 100 days.
Wow.
And so, basically he says, if you don't call 100 people every day for 100 days, you don't know how well your company could have gotten. And so it's your responsibility if you fail, because you need to do that shit, and you can do it again with content, with like calling, with SMSing, with whatever. But it's such ass kissing as well, I feel. And so, as a mom of 3, I know the quality that it takes to raise one person. And like, do I really want to have so many relationships with so many customers? And like, I'm not sure, but
I think slow and steady is important. I mean, we've seen, that's why we didn't want to do the VC back model, because the incentives are such that you need to move really fast, like you said, similar to what Alex Hormozy recommends. And I like that we've been doing things slow and steady. We've learned so much, and our business we have a good reputation. Our business has a good foundation. And we've seen friends who have VC backed startups, and they've made some huge mistakes that cost them their reputation. Then they have gone viral in a negative way. Their companies crumbled. And so I think slow and steady is better than the risk of going up in flames and damaging relationships or people around you, which has happened.
I think what has helped is that we really believe in our work, especially when we see the type of result or the impact we can have for someone. It always has us double down on, okay, like this is exactly it. And even though the business has not been one of those hockey stick growth things yet, up to this point, but there was something, I think this actually was an Alex Hormozy post. We do follow Layla and Alex Hormozy, their content. It is very good, and we take what works with us, and we are often, being here in San Francisco, we are often kind of pulled into like, oh my gosh, should we go into build like an AI negotiation coach, or should we kind of get into all this? But one thing recently that I read really stuck with me is don't change your mind until you let the compounding compound. So really, and knowing that we are doing something that we really believe in and going about it in a way where if we stick with it long enough, then more opportunities will continue to come. We'll get even better at it. And that's when the compounding will really compound.
Yeah. I mean, what I see in you guys is deeply human, because again, you have like the official relationship with the business, but then you also have this personal aspect that you're married. And so that's very difficult to duplicate. And I feel like if you would try and put that into a bot, it would kind of be like besides the point, because people appreciate being human around you. At least for me, that's also, I find you very inspiring as a couple as well.
You.
And I mean, if I would see you somewhere in like 10 or 15 years, it would be more because, I think that you guys are going to stay together for a very long time. But just
that's the plan.
Forever is the plan.
Maybe Berta can do like, I don't know, gym negotiation coach, or how to get someone to stick to their diet, or how to get someone to like change their dress style, or to go out after a heartbreak, or like, things that are more sort of girly. And then if you would go more into the dudes kind of.
We do get asked for love negotiations so much. And
We've
also,
had clients.
What is a love negotiation?
So honestly, the one that comes up the most is situationship negotiations. Have you heard the word situationship? Okay, so also my friend, one of my college best friends, she also had not heard it until a few months ago. So there's this new term in dating now. You know how there's like, we're seeing each other, we're dating, we're going on dates. All of these are not, we're pre-dating. All of these are different things for some reason. I'm not sure I know the distinction. Oh, and then we're boyfriend, girlfriend, and we're exclusive. All of these are all different. None of these are the same, apparently. But then there's...
And a situation.
I think many of them are considered a situation.
It's basically when things are kind of undefined and it's a little messy. And there isn't much clarity. Yeah, maybe a little bit of drama.
Time together. Right. But you're not headed towards anything necessarily. Things are kind of vague.
Yeah.
So that's inherently challenging to navigate. And so I've had so many people reach out and offer to pay us to help them negotiate their situationship. A lot of these people are trying to convert the situationship into a relationship. But I'm like, I mean, I guess I could help, but... I need to come up with like a full, content, material and all that. I don't know.
There's this one client I'm remembering after we helped her with her job offer. She reached back out and said, Gerta, can I actually hire you as my dating negotiator or my dating coach?
I feel like you can only really be good in a negotiation if you know who you are and what you want, because otherwise you don't know what you want the outcome to be.
I think that's such a great point, because the first thing we ask a client as soon as we sign together is, what are your priorities? And we get crystal clear on them. Even for job offer negotiations, many people don't know what their true priorities are. They will. You would think it's like, I want more money. No, sometimes it's like, I want title. But why do you want title? Is it because you think you'll get more money now or later, or because of ownership, or because of reputation, how you look in your peers, how well respected you are in the company? Those are all very different, and whichever it is, we approach the negotiation differently. So and so someone in a situation or relationship negotiation, we would help them figure out what their true priorities are.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it also takes a period of time where you sort of sweat so much in negotiations because you have no fucking clue. Like for me, for example, being like this heiress and then sitting in a refugee camp and then being called, and then people were like, why are you not at this gala or at this super expensive thing? And I was like, because I don't give a fuck. I mean, but at the time I couldn't say it, and I felt so bad. Like I couldn't really talk to people. I didn't really know what was going on. And so I love these moments looking back, because now when someone throws something at me, and I mean, I'm also a mom of 3 kids, but like sometimes I feel like, okay, something's going to bother me, or maybe I'm not going to know what to do. But it's like, it takes years and years of walking through shit until it actually clicks and you're like, okay, game on, I know actually what's going on.
How to do it.
And for myself personally, like sometimes I go through some shit and I'm like, okay, how am I going to communicate it to the outside? And I feel like that's also a very important gap, because it needs time to cook, basically. So I just keep it to myself, and I'm like, okay, how do I feel with it? How do I live this new version of Paula that's in this new frame of mind, and then I introduce it to the outside,
I love that.
It's like I take it very slow, but
I love that. So you're sitting in the insights and the stuff. I've also noticed that there's almost like a switch when someone becomes a mom, where I think women get braver and they are more crystal clear on what's important, what matters, and then how they ask for something, what they ask for. And I have this, working theory is that in negotiations, when you negotiate for someone else, women do it better. So whenever I coach someone in negotiations, I say, women are like, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I don't want to, bother anyone. I don't want to sort of risk the offer or the deal. And I say, there is probably money on the table. You might be, or value, whatever it is. You're probably leaving value on the table. Think about your future kids, if they don't have kids, or I don't know, your parent or someone you really care about. that could be going to them. And that's when women wake up and they're like, oh, wait, you're right. This is not just about me. If I negotiate in my head on behalf of my future kids or my parent or someone I want to help and support, they get so much braver. And I wondered, do you think that was the case for you? Because it sounds like what you were describing. You're like, oh, I didn't know how to say, I don't care about the gala. And now you're like, I'm a mom of 3 kids. I don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you ask that. So back then I was very afraid to speak my own opinion, even though I was sitting in those refugee camps. But I just didn't really want to say anything. I just would rather build technology as an answer. And then I got really angry when I found my papers and realized like what kind of constructs I was part of in this pharmaceutical empire, because I was like, this is completely away from me. I had no idea about this.
What do you mean find your papers?
Well, I had signed some powers of attorney for people to be able to act in my name, which is why they didn't really want me to see what was happening.
Oh, and you didn't know this?
I had no idea. No.
You had signed too young. You didn't know what you
I had signed, and I mean, it was one day after my high school graduation. I was under the influence, basically, and it was done for my own good, you know, because it was like very big deals and a lot of responsibility. But for me, it just kind of fucked me up in a sense that I didn't feel like I could trust anybody anymore, because they held it away from me because they felt like maybe I won't understand it and all of that. And yeah, I was always like the kid that was interested in technology, but I didn't speak so much because I felt like it was not appropriate for women. And so maybe that's why they were like, okay, does she even know how to handle things like that? And so I got very angry. I was very loud about it. I was very upset. And then, you know, becoming a mom, I guess was a slow transition, because I guess all of my ex-boyfriends are from San Francisco. And then the father of my kids was like, you know, let's go to Burning Man at 8 months pregnant.
Wow.
And so because sometimes I have this muted thing of a girl that wants to be liked, you know, I was like, okay, let's go. And I totally hated it.
Yeah.
And
at 8 months, it's probably miserable, like the heat, the
it
cold.
sucked. It was pretty shit.
I mean, it's a very hostile environment for a healthy human that is not pregnant.
Yeah,
And
let
so
alone.
You can imagine how
It was rough for
we
me
went last
too.
year. It is not easy. It's not just like hey, let's go to a festival type of thing. Yeah.
And I mean, VCs and also very good founders, they have a way of like pulling you into their strategies, I guess. You know, sometimes not negotiating, but more like trying to use every possible way to spin you into their culture. Like my kids have five passports, and so it was a lot about
The fake ones or the
no, real ones. And yeah, so I was facing a situation where the father of my kids didn't want me to like leave San Francisco, and he was like, you know, we live here now, and you know, you need to be this sort of VC babe.
VC babe.
And at some point I was like, you know, fuck this, which is why also I started the Angel House. I was like, okay, guys, I need new sort of energy up in here. I need new people around me. And I broke up with him at the time, and I was like, this is not happening. So I want to say that, like,
He should have known. You're rebellious. You rebelled your family of origin.
well, but you know, I mean, I was not baked then, you know. I feel like life is something that can be a gift to you.
Yes.
And I always had this part where I was like super strong with my technology and stuff like that, and then this other part where I was trying to be liked and things like this. And so I feel like I needed it. I was asking for it for like so much pain, basically, where I'm then able to say like, hold on a minute. I'm always gonna respect my vision and like the way that I want things to be. And right now I'm actually learning, to be honest, to put that into numbers, because I mean, I know I have access to a huge fucking network of people. I have so much real estate that I have access to. But the question is also like, how do you put that into numbers, and how can I, you know, hire other people who are completely different from me because they're refugees, and many of them are male also. Like, and what's the business model that I can like hold behind it? Like the average cost, the average profit that I make out of it. And yeah, so that's actually where I'm at right now, because I wanted to grow it organically, and it happened. But yeah, so I feel like it was an evolution. And I mean, I have 3 kids. So with my first kid, I went to Burning Man 8 months pregnant. And with my third kid, I was in Greece all alone on an island. I had no medicine during birth.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had totally like twisted everything around. And
wow.
Yeah, I think it was an evolution basically.
Wow, what a journey. Wow.
Yeah. So
wow, I feel like we could have
yeah.
We could talk. Alex has a shocked face.
I'm thinking, what was the situation with when you were pregnant with your second kid? Were you also in like a really intense?
It's interesting because there I was in Miami and I was like, look, because he always wanted to have all the kids in the US.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first
probably smart. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna like finish this off in a very, very interesting way because actually like Trump gets fucked in Greece pretty badly. So basically first kid, San Francisco, Burning Man, second kid, I was like, okay, I want to still be in the United States, but do it my way. So I rented this house. It was not very big, but it was very expensive because it was in Miami, Coconut Grove. And I was like, okay, he wants me to be here, so I'm going to do what he tells me to do, but I'm going to have like a safe environment for all of us. And I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to pay the rent, which is completely ridiculous because he could have afforded it as well. And like, why should a pregnant woman why would I need
you have bigger things to worry about.
So I didn't negotiate it very well. You know? And
we
with
should
the
have
third
talked.
Kid, I was like, there's no way that I'm moving a little finger into anybody's direction. I'm just going to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And
so you got stronger and stronger.
I did, yeah.
Kid by kid.
And then he was like, well, the kid is never going to have an American passport now. You know, like for half a year, he was like drilling into my brain, like, what did you do? And literally we got the passport within like one day or like, let's say 2 hours. And now we had this incident in Greece where I tried to renew a passport and there was a wrong document and they were like, doesn't matter, you know, we're still going to issue the new passport. You just give us the other document when you pick it up and we'll just keep it for you. Where, you know, in the United States, if you would do that for a US passport, they would never do it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like it's a very different kind of dynamic.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, everything is negotiable. I do credit most of Alex and I have been trade in negotiations, me at MIT, Alex at Harvard, Kennedy School, but I actually credit most of my skills to just being from Albania. We were in that hustle mindset, developing country, everything's negotiable, like you're constantly negotiating. At Greece too, I mean, very similar culture, so yeah.
And this leverage thing, I feel like Americans are very good at leverage. If you look at Trump and Iran, where he's like, I'm gonna fuck you up, you know, and basically he's using that as the leverage that there is no tomorrow if you don't do what he says. And it's just so, I feel like that's a very American thing. Like Europeans, maybe they say like, I'm gonna kill you or something, but they don't go so hardcore into like a specific situation, engineer it and say like, okay, this is gonna end up really, really bad.
Right.
You know?
I think in Europe it's not as, or at least in our part of Europe, it's not as strategic as to thinking 10 steps ahead. It's more like in the moment generally. So. Wow. Macron?
I find him very attractive. I don't know why
he's a good-looking man.
20-year older woman. I mean, Trump has a point there that she's like a little bit. I don't know. I don't understand what is going on.
What did Trump say?
He made fun of Macron that you know, he's being slapped by his wife. She treats him very badly. Yeah. Which I mean, I just don't understand the
the dynamic. I mean, she slapped him or something at the scandal. That was,
it's not nice.
But what's the so you're meeting with President Macron for are you doing an event or what's the context there?
I work in the refugee camp on Samos.
Okay.
And we are partnering with someone called Marc-Antoine, who's amazing. And he has a facility that sort of takes the refugees once they're allowed to come out of the refugee camp. And he just, you know, it's called La Maison, where you go into the house. La Maison is the house in French. And you get a place to shower, a place to hang out. It's not somewhere where you can sleep, but it's more to bring people back into society.
Yes.
And so whenever we have, because we have 14 angel houses on Samos, we have a lot of angel houses.
Oh, wow.
14?
14.
Oh, wow.
And I do a lot of sessions with people who are building technology for defense or things like that. And so they always go into La Maison, right next to the refugee camp, and they
wow.
present their technologies there. And so very naturally, we just always meet the new house managers of the angel houses. And so because I hire so many people out of there, Marc-Antoine actually said to the president that, I'm supposed to, I should meet him, basically.
Yeah.
And my big hope is that he comes to the angel house, which is possible, to be honest.
In Athens. Wow, that would be cool.
But I don't know if I should ask him for something. Should I try and negotiate?
But if that's your dream, why don't you? Yeah.
Well, is there something that you want?
Yeah, for him to visit. That's
let's say you have the visit.
That's already happened.
But is there anything that you are hoping to get from the meeting?
Dream big.
I mean, honestly, I think it would be great to have like real estate in Paris or in France. There's so many beautiful castles
to do angel houses.
Yeah, and if we could get easier access to visas, for example, or like maybe even some sponsorships for people who cannot afford it. Or if you would drop into one of the sessions, or if they would like look at the outcomes.
Yes. So order what's important to you in order of importance. This is how we work with clients. What's most important to you? This is a live session right now, especially if there's anything non-negotiable or like your dream thing.
Incubator for like a governmental AI, basically.
Perfect. And then frame it as what's in it for him. So
well, we're hosting a lot of families that are building intergenerational projects together that make bureaucracy easier and that have some base funding because the families sometimes bring that with them. And then they just need more exposure and more incubation. So I think that would be for him something that,
it sounds like AI is a hot topic now, a community helping refugees. It's a good mission. It has all the right ingredients.
But should I go for this? Like, should I say I know about this and this pot, for example, or I want to have a partnership with exactly this institution, or should I just let him dream?
Maybe pitch the dream, because people like to dream, and then the ask is how you're getting to the dream slowly.
And also, I'm kind of live, top of mind live right now. But the whole concept. So when you are selling something. In the first conversation, you shouldn't try to sell them the final thing that you're trying to get, but you're trying to sell them the next step. So let's say on a website or something, it's not like when someone comes to visit your website, you're not trying to sell your product, but you are trying to sell them to click into the product page, which will then, once they're on the product page, then they get more information, yada, yada, yada. So you sell the dream, but then, or you paint the vision of the dream. But you make a small ask. Then like the ask is like, who on your team is the person who would action on something like this? And then try to connect with them. Once you connect with them, then you sell the next step that gets you one step closer, right? So that may be we don't know the full context behind this.
About giving people ownership over something? Like if I say like, hey, I really need your help with doing this and this, because there's like, okay, sorry, but there's tons of videos on the internet that for women, they say like, pretend that you have nothing, pretend that you don't know anything, that you're like super vulnerable, and then men give you everything, and then there are these videos of women who pretend that they don't have anything, and then they go shopping with the guy and they leave with like $20,000 and things, So should I try and do that and sell somebody my vision and say like, can you make it come true?
With Macron or somebody?
Just also, for example, with Macron, if I say like, hey, I really want to make this happen and I can only do it with you. You're the person who can put this into reality. And then maybe...
I think he gets pitched all the time. I also come from a family of politicians and all that. People who are high visibility, they get pitched all the time. I think it's more like, what's in it for you? And so what's in it for him, basically? And I assume he probably wants the smallest thing he can do that has the highest return on investment. So it could probably be like an intro. Hey, do you mind, connecting me to X person so that I can, build an incubator in AI that will help refugees or something like that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
When is the meeting?
24th.
Okay.
April.
Got it. Oh, that's very soon.
That's amazing.
Would love to hear how that goes.
Keep us posted. Keep us posted.
Yeah. What's your next big thing that's coming up?
No one interviews us on our own podcast. No, this is fun. We want to keep making our podcast more and more serious, and we want to expand more deeply into acqui-hires and help people who are getting their companies acquired or acqui-hired, because we know the job offer space really, really well. I used to work at salary.com. I worked at LinkedIn. We were trained in negotiations in many different areas. And the acqui-hire one is the next good step for us, or companies getting acquired, and then slowly expand more and more beyond that. M&A deals, maybe even government deals at some point. Who knows?
Maybe I'll send Macron your way.
Let's go.
Yeah, we'd be happy to chat with them.
Yeah,
we offer free initial
what do you
calls.
think?
So
Do a free consultation with Macron. Yeah, maybe we teach him how to negotiate with his wife first and foremost. How to not get slapped on live TV.
Yeah. I would donate to that.
Yeah. Awesome. I feel like we could keep talking forever. Maybe we wrap it up here. You're hosting wow, we went way over time.
Oh, wow. This
was so fun. Thank you for spending time with us and for inviting us to the dinner.
And we'll be sure to include, if people want to learn more about you and your work, what you most care about, how can they find out? And we'll also include all these links in the show notes.
Well, I guess if you would want to check out MaharCar, because that's going to be the next thing that's
MaharCar
with Uber for I don't want to say refugees, but for vulnerable people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how do you say MaharHacar? Okay, MaharCar. Okay.
.com.
.com.
And then my name, just Paula Schwarz. With no T, please.
Yes.
And I do have a website. I do post stuff on there, but I'm kind of across different platforms.
You're doing so much.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to narrow it down to one platform.
Yes.
But I do find social media marketing quite interesting. I feel like there's such a plethora of things that you can use. Yeah. So naturally, you'll just find me somewhere.
Yeah.
Shoot me a message.
Yes.
Well, we'll include all those links.
Don't hack my emails. I had somebody hack my emails.
Oh, wow. What did they do any damage?
Well, they actually tried to sell my email online for tons of money.
What?
But it's okay. I see it as a compliment.
Yeah, it's a huge compliment. Yeah. Maybe you can sell it yourself. I'm joking. You don't need to.
I tried to hack them back. I think it worked.
Oh my God.
The counter hack. Well, if anyone is trying to hack Paula's email, don't do it. You heard it here. Don't do it.
Her password is.
Well, Paula, we are
so
grateful that you spent time here, that you're able to come over.
One of the most interesting backgrounds and conversations I've ever heard.
Yeah, I feel like we just touched on a fraction of your fascinating life.
Yes,
so we'll have to have you up back for part 2.
I'm so boring now. I have to go and cook dinner, actually.
That's so cool. You're like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and she's being a badass, whatever she was, spy on the side, and then cooking dinner in the evening. Okay, thank you so much.
I don't own a gun. Fun fact.
Okay.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith,
Oh, right. They were hidden in all the walls, drawers,
I love when
under the seat.
We weren't even thinking about that, but I love that you're just so you know, I don't own a gun. Okay, now I'm suspicious.
I was thinking about these pictures where she's always
Yeah.
Plus, I have people for dinner tonight, so I don't want them to think.
Yeah.
Yes,
no weapons
everybody,
in the
Paula
house.
does not own a gun, okay?
Yeah.
Not aiming to either.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paula.